Real quick, before we get started, we have Beast tokens. You can go get them at our website. Hold on, ready? Look at them. Wow, they're Cameron.
PlayToWinMTG.com.
Welcome to Play to Win, where we play to win. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Cameron. This week, since the end of the year is approaching, we decided we wanted to talk about the top 10 cards printed in 2022 for cEDH.
So first up, we have our number 10 pick, Vivien on the Hunt. Vivien on the Hunt is a Planeswalker that was printed in Streets of New Capenna. It costs 4 and 2 green, legendary Planeswalker Vivien, and has +2, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Very similar to Birthing Pod's ability, which is obviously relevant. Its other +1 is mill 5 cards, then put any number of creature cards milled this way into your hand, and its -1 creates a 4/4 green Rhino Warrior creature token, and it's got 4 loyalty. We all kind of know what Vivien on the Hunt does at this point, but just in case you don't.
Oh yeah, you just read it.
Now you definitely do, because I read the thing. But this card is a great inclusion in any decks that were playing Birthing Pod and a Felidar Guardian Karmic Guide Kiki Jiki line, because this can go through that same line. So Survival the Fittest, Birthing Pod, and now Vivien on the Hunt can all utilize those same 3 combo pieces to win the game. So decks like Rocco use it, decks like Blood Pod use it, decks like Minx and Boo use it. All of those decks really love Vivien.
It's also the same amount of mana as Birthing Pod. Did you say that?
I might have said that.
I don't know, but that's also something to know.
Yeah, and I like Vivien because if things are going wrong and you can't do the combo for some reason, it can kind of draw you some cards or make you 4/4 bodies, which can help you just grind through the game.
Also true.
Should we talk about our number 9 pick?
We're going to move on to our number 9.
Let's do it.
All right, so number 9 is Displacer Kitten. This is 3 in a blue. Creature Cat Beast. It's a 2/2 and it has Avoidance. When you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control, then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control.
This card's kind of like a Tidespot Tyrant. I've seen it play in some Tevishsat Grixis style decks.
This card is nuts with Dockside Extortionist.
Very true. The issue of why it's maybe not lower on the list is I think you have to have a couple of cards to get the engines really going, and some of the cards that we're going to talk about don't really need as many things to get started with. In my opinion, Displacer Kitten kind of needs a lot to get going, which makes it a little slow sometimes.
I'd agree. I feel like you kind of like are piecing together these wins with this card out of just like whatever you have, which like does mean that it's a very powerful card. I think it needs too much in comparison to the rest of the cards on the list.
Should we talk about number 8?
Yes, let's go to number 8.
Let's go to number 8.
Okay.
8 is... I can't remember. Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Can you pull it up?
I wasn't ready.
Okay, no.
Here we go.
Swift Reconfiguration. This is a 1-mana enchantment aura that says enchant creature or vehicle. Enchanted permanent is a vehicle artifact with crew 5 and loses all other types. It's not a creature unless it's crewed. Crude, that sounds like
crude.
Like crude, like it's really rude and like mean and stuff. Swift Reconfiguration combos with Devoted Druid, turning it into not a creature, meaning you can place infinite -1/-1 counters on it, creating infinite mana, and if Thrasios is your commander, you can draw through your deck. That is a Suto 3-mana 2-card combo, as long as you have your 2-mana commander already out in play. It's a pretty good rate. Not only that, you can kind of do this at instant speed, since Swift Reconfiguration has flash, so you can do this over top of somebody else's win, and use something like Crop Rotation for Emergence Zone or some way to flash in the rest of your win over top of somebody else. I really like that about this card.
Yeah, Devoted Druid, wrapping up 2022, huge in Devoted Druid's favor. This is just one of the many cards that ended up comboing very nicely with Devoted Druid for infinite mana, and Swift Reconfiguration is definitely the best one that you get. Our number 7 is next, and this is Professional Facebreaker. This is 2 and a red for a creature human warrior 2/3 with menace, and it says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. You can also sacrifice treasures to exile the top card of your library, and you can play that card this turn. Talk about a humongous treasure enabler. This card has the Timna wording for the treasure making. So it's basically like Malcolm on a stick.
Yep.
Synergizes incredibly well with Malcolm. Very excited to see what else comes in the form of treasures down the line that makes Professional Facebreaker even more powerful.
Yeah, I think Professional Facebreaker also helps basically any strategy that's looking to attack all the Tymna decks, all the Najeela decks, especially because it's a warrior. It really does a lot for those decks, and being like pseudo kind of badish but relevant card draw also is nice. And of course, like the Menace ability is like one of the most important words on this card. The fact that it's also evasive is huge for its own ability and for other things that you want to be playing with it, like Tymna as well.
I think Tymna Jessica, like, specifically got really stoked about this card. Like, this is an awesome include for that kind of slower Tymna ad nauseum deck.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, it's still fast, but, like, it's
slower than some.
It's still a little bit more mid-rangey.
Yeah.
You play a couple of creatures like this.
Should we move on to the next on our list? Ledger Shredder is number 6 on our list. For 1 and a blue, this is a creature advisor with flying. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, Ledger Shredder connives. Connives is drawing a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it's a 1/3.
I've been noticing something about a lot of these, like, new mechanics.
Yeah.
Like, Explore is, like, probably the oldest version of this.
Yeah.
But they're just, like, running out of mechanics, so they're putting as many, like, actions into these mechanics as they possibly can, and they're starting to get pretty convoluted.
I think Ledger Shredder is a great one of these types of cards, though. It's kind of like a mini Crom. It gives you not really card advantage, but card selection. It's an evasive creature. It works well in Underworld Breach strategies. I think it's probably better in Modern and 1v1 formats, but it's still really good in our format.
So too, yeah.
And being able to trigger off of multiple people's second spell is obviously a big boost for our format.
Off of your own second spell.
That's
like,
that's
that
different.
that was a huge upgrade that Crom doesn't have, that, like, took a little bit of time to get used to. But it is humongous of an. Oh my god, I can't talk tonight. Our number 5 is March of Swirling Mist. So this is X and a blue for an instant, and as an additional cost to cast a spell, you may exile any number of blue cards from your hand. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each card exiled this way. It then says up to X target creatures phase out. So this is basically a board wipe in blue.
Kind of.
For when you need to go off immediately.
Yeah, this one's really great with like ad nauseum and stuff when you're like drawing, like you're getting a whole bunch of blue cards in your hand, and then you can just snipe out all of the relevant stacks pieces at one time. It's also really good to do in the end step right before your turn. You can tap a bunch of mana to get rid of more than one things.
It's my favorite thing to do with it.
Yeah, this card is, I think it's great. It's also a small amount of pips for ad nauseum decks, so you don't take a lot of damage. March of Swirling Mist, I think, has been a great include for basically all blue decks.
Yeah, I mean, just the ability to get rid of 2 things.
Yeah.
Like, get rid of Eidolon of Rhetoric and Collector Oof. Like, that is such good value that it doesn't even matter that it only hits creatures, because especially as the format's becoming more creature-centric, they're the more important cards to hit anyway.
In a Winota world, this is really what you want.
Oh my god, so good against Winota. Yeah, you can keep your Rick and your Blade Historian, but, like, I'm gonna pick off Aethersworn Canonist and, like, Magus of the Moon, and then
win with Thassa's Oracle, and just doesn't matter.
Here we go, yeah. Next one is 4.
It's gotta be 4.
Yeah, it's gotta be 4, because we're running out of cards.
All right, Archivist of Oghma is the number 4 pick that we decided was the 4th best card printed in 2022 for cEDH.
Yes, we thought this was the 4th best card in cEDH, yes.
A 1 and a white for a halfling cleric with flash. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain a life and draw a card. It's a 2/2. I think this card's great.
This card is phenomenal.
I think any card that can play, like, if you could play, like, Dark Confidant and you still were playing it, I think this card is, like, a lot better than that.
Play this instead, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great for Winota. It's great for white-based decks. I've noticed that I draw, like, 3 to 5 cards off of it per game. That's like a lot for me for 2 mana and, like, a creature that I can use in other ways, like with Tymna or Culling the Weak or things like that. I think Archivist of Oghma is fantastic.
It is flash. Like, you don't have to commit this when you have 2 mana. You can hold up other things and then wait until another opportunity to cast Archivist of Oghma. You're still going to draw 2 to 5 cards a lot of the time, right? And that's still totally worth it while having a body in play that can block Najeela tokens, that can threaten to trade with Tymna. Like, this thing is nuts.
Yeah, and I think we just put it a little bit higher than Ledger Shredder because in the decks that this can see play in, it is a bigger increase to power than Ledger Shredder is in the decks that Ledger Shredder sees play in.
You could argue cutting Ledger Shredder from certain lists because it's in a color combination that it's in a color that already has such powerful spells and options.
Yeah, but white, almost a lot of the white decks that can play Archivist of Oghma, the ones that aren't playing blue especially, really want Archivist of Oghma. It's a really great include for Winota, even if sometimes it doesn't synergize with things like Avid Mind Sensor or
Opposition Agent.
Yeah, it's still a good card advantage to have, and anytime a body can draw 3 to 5 cards per game, that's okay with me.
And the life gain is super relevant too.
If you're playing ad nauseam decks, honestly, gaining like 3 to 5 life is the difference from drawing like 2 to 3 extra cards deeper. It can make a difference.
Top 3, here we go. Oh, love this number 3 card. This is an offer you can't refuse. It's blue for an instant, and it says counter target non-creature spell. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens.
Most comparable to like something like Swan Song.
Yeah, hands down. That's a great comparison because 2 power, 2 treasures.
The treasures,
same kind of deal.
Although treasures is probably like it's worse for you. Like the 2/2 bird is much less relevant than 2 treasures are, but this can counter more things.
That's true. This counters so much more things.
Yeah,
it can hit artifacts. Swan Song can't hit artifacts.
That's very true.
And I think that's a humongous thing. I don't think that the 2 treasures that you give them for countering cards like Underworld Breach and Ad Nauseam is gonna matter.
Who cares?
At that point, that card is gone. So they can't use Mana Drain anymore because their card's gone, and now they have mana. It's too late.
It's also a good card to start a counter war with. Like if you know your opponent's got a counter spell, you throw this out for just 1 mana. They have to counter that so they won't get the treasure, and then you can dispel them after that or something like that. So it's good to value when it's good for which situation. One situation might be you can cast a Mox Diamond and you don't have a land in play, and you cast an Offer You Can't Refuse, and you turn your Mox Diamond and your Offer You Can't Refuse from 1 mana into 2 treasures, which that can come up. It's just 1 more mana, but sometimes you need just 1 more mana, and this can be helpful then.
Yeah, exactly. So this card definitely worth the number 3 spot. It's definitely pushed out a lot of other spells now, and I find myself playing this in literally every single blue deck that I'm building now. It's just that versatile that I feel I need it.
Yep. Yeah, I can definitely see that. You probably know what our top 2 and 1 pick are for our next top 2 and 1 cards, or at least I would hope so. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Guess, let us know which one you think is which. Our second pick, Otawara, Soaring City. It's a land, legendary land, taps for blue, and its channel ability is 3 and a blue. Discard Otawara, Soaring City. Return target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. In a format where we have 2 legendary creatures at our disposal at all times, this can cost 2 mana a lot of the times. Often 3 mana, sometimes 4 mana. Gets rid of anything. Most anything.
Yeah. It's exceptionally good with a rule of law in play because it allows you to still cast a spell. Like you can tutor for this and then still bounce the rule of law effect and then be free to do whatever else you need after that.
Yeah, it being not a spell not only allows for those things with rule of law, it's kind of uncounterable too, so you know pretty much without a shadow of a doubt that this thing is going to bounce something back to its hand, and oftentimes you really just need one thing off the field.
And it also adds a very important color of mana to your mana pool when you need it to as well.
At its worst, it can still cast an Offer You Can't Refuse if you play it as the land the turn prior, so it's not so bad.
I feel like anyone who was playing a basic island in their deck has swapped it out for Otawara and has not looked back.
I mean, if they play a Blood Moon, then you can just Offer You Can't Refuse one of your artifacts and get like a treasures or something. Then you can use those for mana.
Or you could just an Offer You Can't Refuse.
Wait, how do you cast that though? Without the Blood Moon? Yeah, that's a good idea. Offer You Can't Refuse the Blood Moon.
The Blood Moon, yeah.
So that probably means that you know what our next pick is if this one wasn't that one, Boseiju.
Yeah.
This is your turn. You read the number 1.
So our number 1 pick is Boseiju, who endures, the legendary land that taps for green, and you can channel it for 1 and a green to destroy an artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search their library for a land card with a basic land type. It's like dual lands and shit. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. If you have 1 commander in play, it is 1 mana.
Better than Nature's Claim already.
It's significantly better than Nature's Claim.
The reason why this has the number 1 pick in my head over the number 2 pick is, I think, 1, because it looks like it was Seeps playing more decks. And 2, it being able to be as cheap as 1 mana is a pretty insane rate. Doing all those other things that Otawara can do, like getting rid of Rule of Law. It can't get rid of creatures, but more often than not, getting rid of an artifact or an enchantment is going to be what you needed to do. It's a really powerful card. And not only that, it taps for mana dorks, taps for Birds of Paradise, Noble Hierarch, Ignoble Hierarch, things that can allow you to get more colors of mana. So it's really good as a singular land, extra land in the deck that's not a basic or something.
The decks that can play Otawara also have access to things like Chain of Vapor and Snap and Alchemist Retrieval.
Yeah.
So, like, that is just another one of these things in their arsenal, whereas, like, in green, you were playing Nature's Claim because you had to play Nature's Claim. Now, you don't even need Nature's Claim. You just have this as your artifact removal in that case. It works so much better than an actual spell would. Again, all of the same channel upsides that we said for Otawara.
Uncounterable, Rule of Law, yada yada.
That also applies to this card. So it just makes it absolutely the number one card for cEDH that was printed in the year 2022.
What do we miss? There's probably a lot. Hopefully all these cards were printed in 2022. I double checked. I'm
pretty sure that they all were. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so at Patreon, like our $100 patron, Baby G Bus, and our $50 patrons.
Eli Ritchie, Jason Perkins, Man Solo, Nicolo Marakovic, Steven Shalikti, That Green Guy, Plantain Jackson, Isaiah Berlisky, Michael Lyon, Pedro, Byron Wang, C, Kawaja A. Hamid, Jacob Depp, CZ, Michael Ballou, Jan Wildfang, Adrian Grimm, Sleepy Jarvis, Thomas Bono, Swampy McGee, Nocturnal Beaver, David Nelson, Vinny Bianca, Jormax, Moxfield, and that's it.
Check out our Bonfire store for all of the Play-to-Win t-shirts, sweatshirts, sweatpants, and the rest of the apparel.
If you want to pick up any of the cards that we talked about today, you can do so at our TCG Player affiliate link down below.
Check out the Alter Sleeves affiliate link for 5% off your order there.
And if you want to pick up any Dragon Shield product, you can do that at the affiliate link.
And listen, Christmas is coming, so you better go down to PlayToWinMTG.com to pick up your friends and family, all of the Play-to-Win tokens, all of the Play-to-Win. We got a ton of stuff over there, so make sure you check out PlayToWinMTG.com for your Play-to-Win needs.
Thanks for watching.
See you next week. Hey kids, get your parents' permission to log on to PlayToWinMTG.com and go pick up yourself a Play-to-Win playmat. You hear? If it's not on this list, it is a dishonorable mention.
If it's not on the list and printed this year, the card sucks.
It sucks.
Fucking sucks. Awesome. Should we do the whole thing one more time?
Yeah. Let's go from the top. That was a good warm-up.
Yeah, good warm-up. Let's run it back.